93, 93, 93. Suleiman Ashrunu from Ashrunu.com. Back in this bitch once again. So right now I am in transition, basically on my way back to the desert. So I'll be back in maybe about 24 hours. So yeah, about a 24-hour window. This shit is crazy. This shit is crazy. What's up, Dank Wizard? What's up, what's up, what's up? What's up, Natasha? Peace, peace, queen. Peace, 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 peace. But anyway, I just want to check up with y'all. What's up, Tech Mans? Salute to you, salute to you. Salute, salute. Salute, 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 salute. So, y'all haven't been seeing me that often, at least this month. So I've been doing some traveling. What's up, Sayin? Or Sayint? 93, 93, 93. I've been being real low-key about it. As y'all remember, back years ago. What's up, Joshua? 93, 93, 93. I appreciate y'all so much, you know. I really appreciate y'all immensely. As I said, I've been doing some traveling. Been real low-key about it. As y'all know, a couple years ago, I would be blasting all this, doing live streams. I'm like, yeah, fuck all that. Fuck all that. Those days is over. Those days is over. So I've been doing traveling around the U.S. because I feel it's necessary. I got to get a greater perspective as to what's going on in other places versus just where I am in the desert. I can tell you about the desert all day. I can tell you about Vegas all day. I can probably even tell you about LA all day. But it's a big country. It's a big world, right? So I got to go out there and not just see it for myself, but experience it for myself. So that's what I've been doing. So I didn't just go somewhere and just visit, little weekend, go in, go out. I had to navigate. So I've been navigating. So I've been in too many cities. I done lost track. I done fucking lost track, right? But I'm doing it for the sake of transition in terms of we also understand there's a lot going on in the stars. We don't have to get into all that right now unless y'all want to. But it was just a time to do so, you know. But just to give a little brief, I was in the southern region of the U.S. That's all I'm gonna say. I was in the most southern regions of the U.S. I'm not gonna say anything else. So much so that I really had to. I'll see you, Professor. Thanks for the consult this week. Oh yeah, I appreciate you so much. Salute to you, Professor. Salute to you. Salute to everybody that checked out the community tab, offering the rune readings, the runic readings for those who are into the runes or those who may not have been into the runes. I also was developing the Neptunian mysteries as well as the Plutonian mysteries. So it's a lot of people that already know about the Uranian mysteries. I introduced that maybe in 2020. And now I have developed the Neptunian mysteries and the Plutonian mysteries. So I was just giving a little first draft of those. So I appreciate everybody who has supported with that. Definitely been very helpful. Definitely been very helpful. Definitely been being very constructive with the use. So salute to everybody. So I'm gonna keep those coming. Like I'm always, being inventive, doing new things, thinking of new ways to do what I've always been doing, taking things to the next level. You were in my neck of the woods. I'm in the Carolinas. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 I'll tell y'all about it. I'll tell y'all about it. Been working on developing the astral body, but want to consult again as I'm realizing I'm beginning to realm hop. Mm-hmm. Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready. Yeah, I'm always gonna be here as long as I can, right? So I'll tell y'all a little little piece of what's been going on. As time goes on, as I reflect on things, I'll let you know more details. But I will say this: it's like I realize I really, it's just funny. It's crazy to say this shit. It's like just when you thought you knew something, right? I'm supposed to be, and of course I'm in a public place. We're in a transition, so if you hear any background, it's actual people and shit. Oh yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So I was navigating around TX, Texas. You know, I didn't realize how big Texas was. It's ridiculous. Ridiculously big. It's ridiculous. Coming from a place like, Los Angeles or Las Vegas, the West Coast, and you go to Texas and you like, shit is huge. It's ridiculously huge. And you already know, I've been from LA to New York and all that. But I ain't been to those southern regions. So that was a piece. That was a piece of history that I needed because I haven't really been into the deep south. Yes, I've been to Atlanta, right? So I don't know if that's considered the deep south. I don't know. Y'all will have to tell me. So of course I've been to Atlanta before, but I haven't been to Texas, right? It's a whole different energy, right? So again, I'll tell you a little bit about it, but I'm gonna be very brief with my words until I get to a more private setting. This shit is fucking crazy. So I'm not gonna reveal everything at this moment. Maybe within the next coming days. I'll be going live stream a lot more often, right? As I get back to the paradise. So as of now, I'm just, being real brief, right? Let's see. What's up, Isaiah? What are some ways I can learn more about astrology, Kabbalah, and numerology and how to correlate or how they correlate? A very interesting question. Is I didn't necessarily knew that they correlated in the beginning. I've been into astrology forever, right? Like well over a decade now. I've been into astrology for forever. I had no idea that it connected to numerology and Kabbalah until after the fact, way after the fact, until I started getting into the Lima. 93 as I say now, right? So it wasn't until 93 that I actually realized that you can actually piece these things together, right? Shout out to my boy Poot. Okay. All right. All right. I'll take that. I'll take that. But to answer the question, it wasn't until I started studying 93 that I realized all these things was connected. And I know I look a little rough. I've been out in them jungles. More freshen all up. I ain't worried about that. So don't get distracted by all that. But if you really want to correlate it, you have to memorize it. The first thing is you have to know it eternally. That's all. It's like you can't study it on a piece of paper. The only time you study it on a piece of paper is to memorize it. But once you have internalized the planetary energy, the zodiac energy, numerology, and the various sephiras of the Kabbalah, and also the paths, the 22 paths, and also the tarot. The 22 paths correlate to the 22 major arcana, so you actually have to know the tarot as well. So you put all that into a gumbo pot and just know it by heart. Also the 36 deacons. Because the tarot is the 22 paths, but you also need to know the 36 deacons, which is the minor arcana, right? Which shows how the planetary energies interact with the zodiac energies. So you need to know all these things, and that's just the basics. That's just to get your foot in the door. So I know it may sound a little overwhelming, but it's not. It's really not. Once you actually start to see it in real time and utilize it, right? So astrology, numerology, tarot, Kabbalah, and I'm missing one. Numerology, astrology, tarot, Kabbalah. Y'all know what I'm saying, right? I'm talking about the 22 paths and minor arcana, major arcana. I would say if you're really dedicated, it shouldn't take that long, honestly. It just takes dedication. Like if you're trying to move at a slow pace, It seemed like it would be taking, it seemed like it'd take forever, but it really won't. Like, for example, like, once you know all the attributes of everything, the keywords, once you know attributes and keywords, it's not going to really take that long, right? Like, one is the sun, two is the moon, three is Jupiter, and there's various forms of numerology. So the numerology that I subscribe to is the Vedic numerology, but I also mix in a little Western. For example, with Vedic numerology, the 4 would be Rahu, the 7 would be Ketu, but the 4 becomes Uranus, and the 7 becomes Neptune, then the 0 becomes Pluto, so that you can incorporate all planets. Everybody doesn't do it that way. That's just the way I do it, so that we can fit all 10 planets into the 10 numbers, right? Just to make this, to simplify it. Also, with the tarot, the 22 major arcana, it doesn't have the 3 outer planets, so you have to put it with the correct energies. For example, the Fool will correlate to Uranus, but the Fool just represents the element of air normally. So the Fool normally represents the element of air, but you make that into Uranus. Neptune becomes the Hangman, which normally will represent the energy of water. Then Pluto will represent the Aeon or the Judgment card, depending on which tarot deck you have. So now you have all 10 planets with the 12 zodiac. So that's I guess that's a major key. Excuse me. I guess that's a major key. So once you correlate all the 10 planets with the 12 zodiac, then everything else you can just breeze by. Because when you learn in the numbers, you're basically learning the same. So if number 1 is the sun, and you already know about the attributes of the sun, independence, innovation, to be the CEO, to be the boss. Number 2 is a moon, so that represents correlations, correspondences, cooperation, doing things together. 3 is Jupiter. Jupiter represents expansion, vastness. Like, you're gonna learn all that anyway. So basically, once you learn astrology, you basically already know numerology, because you're just correlating planets with numbers at that point, right? So when you evolve into the Kabbalah, or even before you get to the Kabbalah, once you evolve into the tarot just gives you a pictorial form of what you already know. So when we're studying astrology and numerology, it's just all degrees in mathematics. So once you take it to the tarot, now you have a pictorial form of what you've been studying. Now you can commit the images to memory. So make sure you get you a tarot deck where you can commit the imagery to memory. This is very easy to do with the Thoth tarot deck, but everybody may not want to use that. You start off with that deck. So even if you evolve into other decks eventually, once you eventually evolve to other decks, you at least have that foundation set. So I would say start with the Thoth deck, because that's just in terms of memorization of the cards themselves. Those cards are very easy to memorize. They're very big. Get you a big deck of cards. So this may not necessarily be your main driver, but it's just easy to memorize the visuals of it. So once you go from astrology, knowing the planets and the zodiac, then numerology, now you are correlating the planets with numbers. Then you go to the tarot, which then is correlated to pictures. Now you're ready for the Kabbalah, which then introduces you to the 10 Sephiros and the 22 paths, right? Which is just combinations of the planets and the zodiac once again. Now you just have it in a map form. I don't know what the fuck is going on back there. Anyway. I'm sorry, being around humans is real strange. It's real strange being around humans. That's what I realized. That's one lesson I learned. I thought I was amongst humans. Yeah, I thought I was. No, no, no. I was more isolated than I realized. But I'm looking at humans like aliens. But let me get to the question. Hopefully that answered your question. Astrology to get the mathematics, numerology is to correlate the degrees. So astrology gives you the degrees, because each of the zodiac is 30 degrees. So 3 times 12, because there's 12 zodiac signs, 3 times 12 gives you 36. So if each degrees represents 30 degrees, 30 times 12 gives you 360 degrees, which is the 360 degrees of the zodiac, right? When you take it to the tarot, each zodiac sign has 3 cards, right? So when we study the minor arcana, each zodiac sign evolves 3 times, right? So for example, the 2, 3, and 4 of cups represent the energy of Cancer. The 2, 3, and 4 of wands represent Aries, so on and so forth. So each zodiac has 3 cards, and each of those 3 cards are ruled by 3 different planets. So for example, the 2 of wands is ruled by Mars, even though it's Aries. That is Aries being influenced by Mars. Once you evolve to the 3, now that's Aries being influenced by the Sun. Once you evolve into the 4, now that's Aries being influenced by Venus. Right? So you see, it's already in there. Right? So once you have that locked, you gotta lock it in. Right? Once you got the lock and key, now everything else is easy. Now you can decode any goddamn thing. Right? You can even throw in your supreme mathematics and your supreme alphabet if you want to be, you know, crafty about it. Right? So you can just start breaking. Because that's how I started. So before I was even doing this, I started with supreme mathematics and supreme alphabet. That showed me how to correlate the numbers and the letters. So then you just go around reality breaking down things. And then you can speak it in a very unique way. For example, book, BOOK, right? If we are utilizing supreme mathematics, or if we're utilizing numbers, we know B is the second letter, O is the 15th letter, so a double O, so that's 2, 15, 15, then K is the 11th letter. So you'll also know that. So every letter has a number. So I know that the 23rd letter is W, the 16th letter is P, 17 is Q, so on and so forth. So all that is already in there. So you already got the numbers and letters, it's already correlated, right? So then if you break down book into a single digit, so we had 2, 15, 15, 11. So we add both of the 15s, that gives us 30. We take away the 0, which leaves us with 3. Then we add that 3 to the 2, which is the B. 3 plus 2 gives us 5. Then the K, which is 11, which is 2, which then 5 plus 2 gives you 7. And we know 7 is the most spiritual number. 7 takes us to Neptune. Neptune takes us to the greatest depths, with the great sea. That's what a book does. The book takes you inside. It takes you internal, right? As a hanged man represents inversion. That's why it's a man hanging upside down. It inverts you. So to invert your reality, that's what a book does. It takes you into the inversion plane, right? Because it go within, you have to visualize, you have to read, you're absorbing, right? So you're internalizing that. That's all the energies of the number 7, right? Now if we take it to supreme alphabets, B represents be or born. O represents cipher. Then K represents king, right? Born, cipher, cipher, king. Born, cipher, cipher, king. Like, yo, okay, yo, I'm about to read a born, cipher, cipher, king. Nobody knows what you're going to be talking about, but you know what you're talking about. And you're just being creative with how you use the words. Like, all right, I'm about to get into CLR rule. CLR rule, what the fuck you talking about? CAR. C is C, A is a law, R is rule. I'm about to go to the CLR rule, right? I'm about to go to school, right? Okay, I'm about to go to school, I'm about to go to work. It's like you can do all type of fancy stuff, but that's extra. That's if you are into that, right? This is mental exercises to get your brain running, right? To get your brain thinking on an advanced level. So once you have all these things memorized, then it becomes very easy because you're just playing with it now. So that's just a little introduction. Then, you know, you'll be well on your way. So the first thing is always memorization. Get it locked in internally. Internalize all of it so that you can play it out in real time. So that you don't always have to be referring to notes. You see, you don't ever see me pulling out notes. I always come from the dome. So whether I'm talking 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, you see, it's already locked in. So if you can lock it in up here, you're good to go. So that's the main component, to lock it in, right? Now, let's see. I've been checking out this new Pluto retrograde along with the major Rahu, Ketu, and Saturn transit. I've been suspecting there's going to be a new major shift or second phase even as COVID subsides. Because we already know that's a creation. You know what I mean? We ain't gonna speak too crazy about it. They take down the whole goddamn live stream. You know, I say one thing wrong, they're gonna take the whole shit down. So you're right though. The planets will dictate the pace of the disease. The planets will dictate the response to the disease. So the planets will always be in effect as to how they navigate it and how it responds to that navigation that the government takes. So definitely keep your eyes on the stars if you want to know how things are moving and how they will move. We don't really even need to pay attention to media like we think we do, because once you already know what's going on in the stars, the news are just confirming what you have already studied, which is how we should be getting our news anyway. We should be getting our news from the stars, not media, because media can mix and tamper with things, right? They can make it diluted. The media is masters of diluting, making things seem like they're not. You don't even know if it's real. The only way to verify the reality of anything is to check those stars, to check those planets. that's what's going to give you the accuracy that you're looking for. So you just use the media to confirm. So that's really all it is. So the media should be secondary, not primary. So make the news secondary and make the astrology, the numerology, the Kabbalah, the maps, the tarot, make that primary. Then you would be good to go. You would be good to go. Let's see. I spent a year traveling in Texas. It's very different depending on where you go. El Paso, San Diego, Austin, Houston, Dallas. They all have yes. That's exactly what I learned. That's exactly what I've been learning. They all have their own separate energies. Like, before that I was just thinking this Texas is this one big place where, Republican state, so on and so forth, they can carry their guns and all that. I had a whole different perspective, down south with the history and how things are, will they be racist and all that. I had all these preconceived notions of how it would be. So when I actually got there, it was very different. It was very different than what I had visualized in my mind, right? But you're absolutely right. Each of these places has their own personalized energy, which you probably wouldn't know until you navigate yourself, which is the whole reason why I took it upon myself to do so. I had to navigate. So of course it was, some highs and lows, but we made it out of there. I had to escape through a fucking trap door, basically. It's funny. I had to escape through a fucking trap door around this bitch. All right. I've been scammed recently, and now I have chance to put the goetic spirit to use and get my money back. All right. Never asked spirit to do anything like this before, and I don't like to, but growth means experience. So I feel like I have to experience this lesson. I have to experience this to learn a lesson. And you about to sick the goetic spirits on a motherfucker? That's what we doing? All right then. I ain't gonna tell you not to. Especially when somebody drew first blood. I ain't gonna tell you not to. I completely understand how you feel, you know what I mean? The last thing you want to do is to invest your money and you don't get a return on your investment. So I can understand how devastating that can be, especially if it was a large sum of money. So I completely understand. I completely understand. So if that's the route you want to go, I have no judgment towards that. You know what I mean? I have no judgment towards that. She went directly to the goetic spirits. Well, what about the angels, though? Why the goetic spirits and not an angelic spirit? All right, what made you want to choose the goetic over the goetic spirits over the notoria, basically, right? Because the angels are the notoria. What made you want to pick the goetia versus the notoria? That would be my question to you. I've been learning both Western and Vedic. I mix them up all the time, whatever works for you. As long as you have it internalized, you can use whatever system you prefer. This is just my personal preference. You are free to use whatever systems that make the most sense to you. So salute to you for even putting in that work, because we see many people don't. So salute to you for even wanting to put in the work. We practice numerology every day. Even the house you live in carry the vibration. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. We navigate the planets every day, whether we realize it or not. Every location you go to is ruled by a number. Every zip code, every city, every house, every license plate is all controlled by numerology. It's all controlled by numerology. What's up, Saki? What's up? What's up? Do you have any knowledge on using astrology in the Thoth deck for playing the lottery? Oh, here we go. What's up, Goddess Incarnate? So if we're talking about that, that's more dealing with fortune telling. All right. There's two different ways to use the tarot. You can use the tarot for fortune telling, which is what you're speaking about, and you can use it more internally. Which, tree of life, and you are the tree, so on and so forth. It's more psychological, all right? So if you want to use a tarot as a fortune-telling tool, which is a completely different thing, right? So we just want to make sure to keep those things separate, because you can use a tarot for any intention you want to use it. However, when you're using it for external things, like the lottery or anything else, Now you're more so dealing with numbers. It's not really about the pictures anymore, right? Because you're not really trying to figure out symbols. You're not trying to figure out what's going on. You're more so trying to deal directly with numbers, right? So if you're directly dealing with numbers, I would say you can actually remove the major arcana, or you can even use a regular playing card deck. The 52 card deck, you really don't even need the major arcana because you're strictly dealing with numbers. So if you're strictly dealing with numbers, a major arcana doesn't really deal with numbers. So if it's strictly numbers, because again, I'm not necessarily sure exactly how the lottery works. I think it's 3 numbers. It could be 2 numbers. I'm not exactly sure. Like I don't play the lottery, so I have no idea how it works. However, I know that the tarot can be used for any intention, right? I would say more so rely more so on your dreams because it's all the energy of Jupiter anyway. Jupiter rules the ninth house, but it also rules the 12th house traditionally, right? So I would say when it comes to fortune telling, that's more so a thing that you would actually explore your dreams for. If you want absolute accuracy like that, you have to go deeper into your dreams, right? Use the tarot, to as a guide. But in terms of, like for example, like I've heard people who have seen numbers, lottery numbers in their dreams, and they actually was accurate, right? I haven't really heard about too many people, doing numbers through the tarot. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'll say use that as a guide. Don't use it as your only weapon. So you need to use every weapon that you have available. Again, we're talking about millions of dollars. We're talking about billions of dollars, right? So that means your mind was the strongest mind in your city. So let's just put it in the greatest perspective. If you're talking about winning a lottery, you're not just changing your life, you're changing the whole entire atmosphere. That means you now have the ability to change the whole atmosphere of your city just because you got access to the resources now. So we're talking about you are putting yourself on the world stage. So I would say figure out your plan first. Like if you really want to do the lottery and anything in a Jupiterian route, figure out what you're going to do. Because when you're placed on that world stage, everything changes, as we already know, right? But this is a different type of change. This is a Jupiter change versus a Saturn change. See, Saturn is changed through position or rank, right? So we're talking about, you're the CEO or you're the boss, you're the CFO and all that. That's all based on rank. That's the energies of Saturn. But if we're talking about Jupiter, so with Jupiter is more so based on luck and lottery and fortune, right? Fortune, destiny, fate, all those are attributes of Jupiter. Fortune, manipulating your fate, or manipulating the lottery, which is what you're speaking about. We're talking about the energies of Jupiter. Jupiter, as we know, is the biggest planet in the solar system. Jupiter then represents expansion and expanding your horizons. So you must have a plan, right? Do not approach this haphazardly. Do not approach this haphazardly because you're just going to, because that's how everybody else is doing it. Everybody else is just guessing. Hopefully they're right, hopefully they're wrong. So if you want to be accurate with it, you must realize the amount of weight that you're choosing to put on your shoulders. Jupiter is the biggest planet, so that means you are putting the biggest weight, not the heaviest weight, but the largest weight upon your shoulders because now you become, just think about it before I even finish that statement. When most people win the lottery, what do? Just think about it. When most people win the lottery, what do? Or do you think they're thinking about the world consciousness? Just think about it. Do you think they're trying to change the world? Do you think they are trying to do anything other than to fulfill their own void? What do you think they're really doing with the money? Just think about it. If people were dedicated to changing the world would be different. People win the lottery all the time. They may not win billions of dollars, but they win millions. But we see shit is still the same here. When the last time you heard about, because again, they may have an idea, okay, I'm going to start this business, I'm going to start this, but they know nothing about business. Because you came through the Jupiterian route. You didn't come through the Saturn route, so you didn't learn business. You didn't learn how things actually work. So how do you know if a person is scamming you or manipulating you, talking about it costs 100,000 when it really costs 50? How would you even know? You wouldn't know. So people who actually do understand business, you become very easy to manipulate because you don't know how it works. You wouldn't know unless that's your field of study. Unless you are a business person that you already know how these things work, then you really wouldn't know who's getting over on you and who isn't, who is really your friend and who is your enemy in disguise. You wouldn't know these things. So that's what I'm saying. You must have your plan in order. You must know exactly what you're going to do, and you must stick to that plan. You must stick to that plan. If you do not stick to that plan, then you're going to fail because that's everybody else's. They may have an intent, it don't go as planned, and they start doing some other shit, then the money is gone. They have a bunch of nice things, which is fine, but that void was never fulfilled. They never fulfilled that void because we know the void cannot be filled with material things. They're very nice to have. They're fun. The new home gets old. The relationship, grows or dissolves depending on how you play it. So whatever fulfillment that you may have had in the moment, everlasting. The only way to have everlasting is you have to have a setup, or basically it must operate on its own. Basically, it must be self-sufficient. Whatever you start must be self-sufficient. If you're just throwing money at something, at a business, you're eventually going to run out. The business must sustain itself. It must pay for itself. That's what makes anything successful. See, there's a difference between being successful and succeed. Many people succeed. Successful means you know what the fuck you're doing at this point. You know how to be successful. You mean you have a avenue, you have a route that you take. You know how to make things work and how to get that money back and create that cipher. 10th degree or the 15th letter. What is that? If we're talking about the 1 and the 5, we're talking about knowledge power, right? You need knowledge to gain that power. And this is what I'm talking about, right? You have to do your knowledge before you're thinking about power, because when you are in a position of power, it is very easy to lose it if you don't have the proper knowledge. So the thing is, get familiar with whatever field that you're going to enter into. When you win a lottery, what field are you going to go into? What type of people are you going to be around? You have to do the proper preparations, because that's what nobody else is doing. They just get blinded by the material things. So they're all over the fucking place. Can't nobody tell them shit. Their ego is super inflated. But we already know how the story goes, right? Nothing changes except their own personal lives. And that's just what it becomes. So I say just be skillful. That's my only advice. Be skillful. Utilize your dreams. You really don't even need a tarot for that. Utilize your dreams. Astral travel, astral project. Speak to the ancestors. What do the ancestors want you to do? That's what I'm talking about. Go to the ancestors. What should I do with this money? How should I be an effective changer of the world dynamics or my city dynamics? What would be appropriate for me to do? What can I do that y'all will back me in doing? Instead of this being personalized, what will y'all help me back? Will y'all back this? So you have to have that conversation with your ancestors if you want them to back you in doing it. Remember, it's never personal. So if the ancestor's not with you, then it's going to be hard to make that successful, because now you're doing your own personal will, but the goal is to activate your true will. That's the lema. The lema is activating your true will. That means the ancestors are backing your actions. So you must make sure that the ancestors are backing whatever that you're trying to bring forth into the world. As long as you are in alignment with that, you're good to go. Do the knowledge before you focus on the power, because that's what will bring you equality, which is the 6. Do the knowledge. Root yourself and ground yourself in your roots, so that when you gain the power, you can equalize the world instead of disturbing the world and disrupting the world, right? The 1 + 5 give you 6, right? So just giving it little examples of how the mathematics works, right? The mathematics will always be right and exact. So do what no one else is doing. Ain't nobody else astral projecting and astral traveling trying to get the gain from the ancestors and say, okay, how can I be a vessel for this particular idea to manifest in this world? They're not even thinking on that level. So when you are thinking on that level, then that's how you become blessed, because you're thinking about the entirety of the collective unconscious, not just a personalized thing. Okay, I want this, I want that. Because we can get all these things without the ancestors. We can get all this without the lottery. Whatever you desire in life, you don't need the ancestors, you don't need the lottery to obtain. You have your own personal power. So we're talking about the lottery, we're talking about going beyond your own personal power into the ancestral plane, as we call Absolute. The four worlds of the tree of life, the highest world is Absolute. So you're talking about the Absolute, or the fire world, the fire elementals, as we call the Jinn. So wrap your head around that. What's up, S. Hicks? What's up, son? I haven't got to the angelic work yet. Still learning my infernal energy. Okay, I see what you mean, Dank Wizard. I would say sick an angel on them. Cause I feel like it's too obvious to send demons at people that's done you wrong. I feel like that's a little too obvious, right? Nobody would be expecting the angel. Like, I'm gonna stick an angel in your motherfucking ass. That's you see, that's a little curveball. That's why I even brought it up. It hit him with a little curveball. Hit him with a little curveball. I'm not saying the demons won't get it done, but hit their ass with it. Because again, like, we would think, like, okay, well, angels, we wouldn't really call an angel for this, but maybe you should. All right? You know what I mean? Fuck with them angels. Fuck with the notorious. That's the thing. I've learned. I've been working with the angels because of you. You already know. Salute to you. You introduced me to the angels, so I know better now. I was thinking about the angels completely different. I was thinking about them completely different. The angels are not what we think they are at all. This shit is changing. It's life changing, honestly. When you thinking angels is love and light, and you realize, like, these motherfuckers. The scammers say God be with you. Look at these bitch motherfuckers. Let God be with you when you scamming people out their money. You think the angels is okay with that? That's what I'm saying. Hit their ass with some angels. That's something that they will never expect. People don't expect angels to give justice, but they do. The angels are all about justice. So if you're talking about a justice spell, if anything dealing with justice, that's angel. That's angel territory. So these angels ain't nothing to play with. I had to learn that though. I wasn't. I'm thinking demons is all powerful, and these angels ain't nothing to fuck with at all, at all. So we got to be. Yeah, they are scary as fuck. Little did I know. Little did we know. Little did we know that these motherfuckers is nothing to play with, because they don't have a will. They just do. They just fulfill the will of Allah or the will of God. That's all they do. They just fulfill, like, oh, that's what we gotta do. They don't care. They don't care. If God or Allah tells them destroy this whole fucking city, that they're gonna destroy the fucking city. They're not gonna question it. Whatever they're told, because they don't have free will, that's what they're gonna do. As opposed to demons, the demons have an option. Demons can choose to be righteous or not righteous. They have a choice. That we learned that when we study the Quran. The Quran says the jinn have a choice. They can be righteous or not righteous. Angels don't have a choice. They just do whatever the divine will is, the lima. They just follow their lima. They follow their true will. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's why Solomon worked with them both. Solomon had access to the jinn, but he also had access to the angels as well. The jinn were more so the builders of Solomon's temple. Solomon's temple was built by the jinns, which was, you could say, one of the greatest creations, right? But when it comes to the angels, Solomon also knew the language of the birds. The language of the birds, you could say, is an angelic language. So the birds can communicate to Solomon. And it was the birds that communicated to Solomon about Sheba, Queen Sheba. They let him know first, like, yo, it's this queen over here. She's pretty bad. Let me put a little whisper in her ear so that we can get her over here, because she wanna explore your knowledge. Are you really the wisest man on the planet, or are you just capping? So the birds put that in their ear. Then he was like, all right, yeah, come bring her ass. We're gonna see what's up. And that's what promoted Queen Sheba to come to Solomon, get that game from him, and she's like, yo, you're the real deal. And she gave him all those gifts, all the spices, all the material things that he could never want, because he proved that this motherfucker is the wisest, right? He showed and proved, but that's the birds got in his ear about that, right? The language of the birds, that's angelic. So that's just a little example of how the angels work versus how the demons work. So while the demons were building the temple, the angels was in his ear, setting up the deal between him and Queen Sheba, which became, as you see, one of the most important stories. Because Queen Sheba, as you know, that's a queen that's doing her own thing. She don't give a fuck about no masculine energy. She's ahead. She's ahead of her city, her organization, her empire. But then she's like, yo, who is this nigga? Who is this motherfucker who's supposed to be the wisest? Because we know how women get. They don't give a fuck about none of that shit until they realize, wait, this is a real deal. Until you show and prove that you're the real deal. They ain't, they just, you can talk all day. Don't go one ear out the other type shit. But when you like, oh, this motherfucker's a real deal, they're like, okay, let me see what's up. As any woman would do, right? Let me see what's up. So she went to go see what's up. I'm like, okay, he really is connected. So you see, that can also be applied to life. Because you see, this is what women do anyway. They want to see what's up. You speaking all this bullshit, they're going to know if you're real or not. It's really not easy. Well, it's really not hard to see who's real and who's not. Once you in somebody's face, when they ask you questions directly, and you can answer them or not answer them, right? You can see what's up. Especially when you're a queen. So we ain't talking about a servant, we're talking about a queen. That means you're the head. That means that means you rule from the throne. So you're not the worker, you rule from the throne. So that means you rule from the mental plane. If you're a king or a queen, that means you are the ruler of the mental plane. As we know, Yetzirah. On the tree of life, that's Yetzirah. You are the queen of Yetzirah, or the king of Yetzirah. You're the queen of the thought plane, the thinking plane, or as we call the astral plane. That's where you rule. You rule from the astral dynamics. So you see, that Kabbalistic knowledge, I'm just throwing it out there just to show examples of how this, you can just pull this out of the ethers and make it make sense into real life. Right? So that's why I'm just using these quick examples. But yeah, get with the Notoria. Because they'll fuck this shit up for you. They will fuck some shit up for you. Without question. I got them on me right now. I got the demons and the angels on me right now. I don't just got the demons. I got the demons on one side. I got the angels on another side. I got them with me right now. All right. Yo, how do I check your music? Well, if I don't play my music, you ain't gonna be able to check it out. Because I'm not putting my shit on streaming platforms. Like, they're not about to pay me just little pennies. So I'm not doing that. My music will be directly, you will have to go to the website and download it directly for a price. I'll probably put it up for like $10. Like 10 tracks, 13 tracks, $10. 93 Keenan. What's up? 93. Right? So, no, I'm not going to be exploited. So I'm not putting my music out on streaming platforms just for little pennies. So I'm not doing that. Meaning, I will make more money selling 100,000 records than a million streams. I can get 1 million streams, 10 million streams actually, and not make as much money as if I sold the music directly for $10 to 100,000 people. So that's how I'm thinking. So I'm like, the odds of me getting 10 million views or 10 million streams versus just making 100,000 sales, that's more tangible. And I actually make more profit from the actual work I put in versus I'm putting it in somebody else's hands. I'm moving through a distributor, so I'm fuck a distribution deal. You'll be able to get my music directly from me, right? So that's just where my mind is. So that's why I play the music for y'all, so that y'all are familiar with where my mind is. But for the rest of the world, they're not gonna be able to tap into that unless you tap into me directly. So if you're not tapping into me directly, then you're not gonna get that. Cause that's just how I feel about my music. You know what I mean? It ain't for the world. It's not for the world. It's for those who are trying to elevate the mental plane. And we see that's the minority. It's not the majority, it's the minority. So my focus is on the minority. That's why I said getting it from me directly, because my focus is on the minority, not the majority. Fuck the majority. We don't need the majority. All we need is 5%. If I can capture 5%, I'm good. Fuck that other 95%. Because out of that 95%, 10% of the 95%, they're just trying to suck me. They're trying to absorb my energy. Then the other 85%, they're just, they're on their own time, their own demon time, as they say, right? The other 85% is on demon time, and the 10%, they're trying to absorb my energy. So the 5% actually want to help and elevate and make the energy bigger, because we're all one collective. So that's why my focus is on the minority, not the majority. Because that's when the bullshit happens. Getting mixed up with the 10% and the 85%, that's when the bullshit happens. Either you're going to become like them or they're going to become like you. There's no other way around it. When you are amongst the 10 or you are amongst the 85, either they're going to be like you or you're going to be like them. They're going to be influencing you or you're going to be influencing them. Right? So I'm like, fuck all that. I'd rather be amongst the 5 so that we can exchange and build with each other. That's why I do these live streams. You see, it's an even exchange. That's why I do this. So it ain't just me talking into a fucking camera. You know, I'm actually interacting. Because it's like, I appreciate the thoughts that y'all bring to the table. Like, fuck just my own thoughts. I appreciate y'all thoughts as well. So that's why I do the live streams. This to show that we are one. That we build off of each other's energy. So y'all give me energy and I give it back. You know what I mean? So y'all give me the questions, I give you answers. You know? The Notoria. Notoria is Notoria. 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 Mm-hmm. Kodak said he was on angel time because Kodak is an angel. See, that's what motherfuckers don't realize. Most people with the light are angels. That's what people don't fucking realize. You are most likely an angel. If you was on demon time, you wouldn't be watching me right now. You think there's a bunch of demons watching me? I'm not saying it's not. But if you are a demon, you are the highest rank. You're not a low demon, you're a high demon. High demons is into this shit. Not the ones who have made their own minds up, the ones who are righteous. So if you are a demon, you're a righteous demon, because why would you even care about this shit, right? Now, if I was talking about satanic spells and all this crazy shit, then that'd be the lower demons, but we ain't talking about that type of shit. 9 times out of 10, you are an angel amongst demons. You are amongst demons. You are the angel amongst the demons. That's why you are the intelligent one. You are the god of your cipher. You are the earth of your cipher. It's not the other way around. You are the angel amongst the demons. That's why you have the consciousness you have in the first place. You are the angel. And angels can tame the demons. That's the whole point. You're here to tame the demons, not become a part of them. You couldn't become a part of them even if you try. You just don't resonate with that frequency. You don't resonate with the lower vibes. You resonate with the higher vibes. And I don't mean lower and higher, because it can be left or right. Left hand path, right hand path. So we ain't got to keep it with low and high. Just as an example. So if you're into anything I'm talking about, you're most likely an angel. So even if we're talking about demons and all type of craziness, I didn't spoke about how to summon the devil, all this type of shit. Even if you're talking about that. I've never influenced anybody to harm or kill or to infringe on anybody else's free will. Because now you're violating. That's a violation at that point. And there comes a consequence. So I'm like, just focus on your own will. You master your own will, you don't have to master nobody else's. You don't have to manipulate, you don't have to do all this extra shit that other people got to do when you are mastering your own true will. What are you here to do? What is your thelema? When you realize what your thelema is, you align yourself with others who have that same intention, then everything grows and prospers as it should. Versus it's just a bunch of people on demon time, just, wanting to cause chaos. For what reason? For what purpose? But I don't wanna down the demons, because demons are not what we think they are either. That's the whole thing. Demons. So anybody talking about they on demon time, no, they're not. That's an insult to demons. That's an insult to the jinn. Because again, some jinns are righteous. So to put all demons into the same category would be inaccurate. Yes, you may be amongst the demons that are on some bullshit, but every demon is not on bullshit. Every jinn is not on savage time. Every jinn is not on savage time. So you will be amongst those who are not. You're like, damn, yeah, I am a demon, but I want to go the Rahu route. I want to become immortal. That's what Rahu was a demon. But he strived to become immortal. But he lost his body. But the head became immortal. That's a number 4. The Medusa head. So that means just like Medusa had been transformed into a demon, but Medusa was angelic because she was a virgin, but she got punished and became a demon. That's why when she got her head cut off, it gave birth to Pegasus, which is the flying horse, because that represented her purity, her purest part. That was never a question. So her purity was forever. That's why when she died, Pegasus was born, which is a pure aspect, right? because she was truly an angel. If she was really a demon, then it would have been something else. So I just want to, give you the clarity. Angels and demons are not what we think they are. So don't allow people to mislead you. Because demons can be righteous. And because demons can be righteous, that means that they have an ability to become angelic. That's the whole story of Lucifer. The whole story of Lucifer. You can say Lucifer started off as an angel and became a demon. But then he can make his way back, or she can make her way back. Okay, I explored the underworld, the 9 levels of hell. Because Satan is supposed to be at the depths, at that 9th level. But then you evolve from that, and okay, I see what was going on. I had to go through those 9 levels of transformation, of purity, through the sacred fire. Excuse me. Hell represents the sacred fire. The Aeon card, or the judgment card in the tarot. So you must purify yourself through the sacred flames, the sacred flames. That's what hell is. Hell is not permanent. We just begin to believe that eventually, but hell is not permanent. Hell is a pathway. You go through those 9 levels of hell to detox your spirit from all attachments. Then you begin to rise naturally once you remove all those attachments that keep you weighed down. So it's a process it's an alchemical process. But when we begin to take these things literal, and that's when we get discombobulated. When we take these, so do not take these things literal. This is alchemy. This is not mythology. This is alchemy. Let everybody else think this is mythology. This is alchemy. You are transforming you. You are the lead piece and transmuting yourself into a gold piece with the magnetic. You are becoming the person with the magnetic pull. But you have to go through alchemy to do so. You have to purify yourself through the sacred flames to be the golden piece. Let everybody else stay on lead time. Because all materials eventually become lead. So all of the metals, not materials, all of the metals will become lead except gold, because gold is indestructible. So gold will never beat lead. But all others like tin, iron, all these other metals eventually will become lead except gold. And that's what makes gold, because that's the most purified form, so it can't go back. So you can say we all start as angels. Well, we all start as demons, but we evolve into that golden frequency. That's what we evolve to, right? Yeah, we've been on here almost an hour, just like that. Been running my mouth. Let me make sure my battery is good. Let's see. Let's see. I appreciate all the questions. So y'all got my mind moving like this. I appreciate this shit. Always. Always appreciate it. Let's see. Thank you. I have one more question. Can you explain the Vedic planetary alignments and how they use a Thoth deck with the alignments to help me with shadow work? The only difference between the Vedic and the Western alignments is one zodiac sign. So for example, if the moon is in Cancer, Western, then the moon will be in Gemini, Vedic-wise. So you basically just go back one sign. So it's really that simple. So if Saturn is in Aries, Western, then Saturn will be in Pisces, Vedic-wise. So that's really the main difference. So just go back one sign. So everything you see in the Western chart, you just go back one sign. So it's really just that simple. Now in terms of shadow work is also, will always Neptune or Pisces. So wherever Neptune manifests and wherever Pisces manifests, that's where the shadow work needs to be directed. So you must check your natal chart, you must check your progress chart, and you must check the current transits to see where Neptune manifests and where Pisces manifests, because that's telling you where you should direct your shadow work. So in that particular area, whether it's the first house, second house, third house, fourth house. So whatever house that Pisces fall under, that's where you should direct your shadow work. So that's why you're looking at your natal chart, which is your primary blueprint. You're looking at your progress chart, which is how you are now, and you're looking at the transits, which is the current planetary alignments. So focus on Neptune and focus on Pisces, because that's where your unconscious lies. And that's the energy you want to be transmuting. You're transmuting that karmic energy, because the 12th house represents karma. So to transmute your karma, you have to go to where Pisces is. So if Pisces is in the 4th house, for example, the 4th house cusp, for example, and we know the 4th house represents the home, that means you need to cleanse your home. Your home needs to be cleansed. If it's in the fifth house, you need to cleanse or purify your relationships. With your children, with your mate, your romance. You need to enhance your romance, right? If it is the sixth house, for example, we understand that sixth house represents self-improvement. It represents your health. You need to purify your health, right? You need to purify your depths. So it all depends on where Pisces manifests. That's where you should direct your shadow work, right? So this also applies to your natal chart, your progress chart, and the transits. So you just become aware of all this so that you know where to direct your energy. So you're not just making up something. Okay, maybe I should direct it here. Maybe I should direct it there. You know exactly where to direct it because you're looking at the degrees. So you just stay aware of the degrees so that you know exactly what's going on and where to direct your energy. So that's what the astrology is for. That's what the numerology is for. That's what the tarot is for. That's what the Kabbalah is for. So that you know directly where to direct the energies. And the Kabbalah just gives you the map. Okay, if I direct my energy here, where's it going to go? If I go this way, if I go that way, if I go that way. So you're able to check the paths in which the energy manifests. What happens when Mars combines with Venus? What happens when Venus combines with Jupiter? The Sephiros. You understand? Okay, one point of Venus and one point of Jupiter creates this energy. And there's a path there. The path is called Calf. The path between Venus and Jupiter is Calf, which represents the palm. So when you correlate Venus and Jupiter, that activates the palm reading. So chiromancy, just that simple. Maybe that wasn't simple. But I'm just showing you how it all mixes and matches once you have it all up here. So you can just do this, on your free time, right? All right, let's see. How can I create my own private haram or harem? My own private harem. Now, what do you mean exactly by harem or haram? So I want to be exactly clear about what you're speaking about. I don't want to assume. Because that can mean like a flock of women. Yeah, shit, that's funny. And you see where my mind is going. Well, let me know exactly what you mean, so I don't misrepresent your question, Keenan. Whistling can summon angels because it penetrates through the matrix and the angels can sense where it's coming from. That's why certain armies going into battle will blow up horns to channel angels. There you go. So we said we've been on that time. We've been on angel time. They just try to remove the angels and make the angels all weak and shit. Love and light. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. The angels, yeah, exactly. They will be on the battlefield with you, taking shit out if you are righteous. So the angels are going to be there with you. That's my whole thing. The angels is down for anything as long as you are righteous. That's it. They down. Whatever, they down with you. They ain't going to let shit happen to you if you're righteous. Even the demons. The righteous demons are going to be right there with you. The righteous demons and the angels will be right there with you as long as you're righteous. As long as your heart and your mind, they are in alignment. The Hebrew letter Lamed, which is Libra. The Hebrew letter Lamed represents Libra, which is aligning your head and your heart. They must be operating as one unit. When your head and your heart are operating as one unit, that balances the scales of Libra. All right? When you balance the scales of Libra, demons, angels, you need to balance them. They need to be in alignment. They need to be on the same page. If the angels and the demons are on the same page, you're good to go. You're good to go. All right? You see, so now I just put in the Hebrew letters. I probably didn't even talk about the Hebrew letters. They're all, you see, it's all connected, right? It's all connected. I just try to demonstrate it so that it ain't just something I talk about. I just try to demonstrate it in real time so that we just know how valuable this is. See, I'm just pulling shit out the ethers, right? Aromancy, which is a forbidden art. Imagine that, right? So what I'm doing now is like forbidden. It's aromancy, being able to pull shit straight out the ether. Like I can say things that have never been said before because I can contemplate things that haven't been contemplated in this way before because of the way the mind is structured. Like all of our minds is structured differently. So the same knowledge that I have given to someone else, they're going to come to new conclusions. And it creates a pantheon of spirits. Everybody has the same knowledge, but everybody's minds is wired differently based on your zodiac sign and your alignments. So what you manifest will be different than what I manifest. But every component is needed, right? Some people are builders, some people are teachers. Some people know how to run government. Some people know how to take care of a home, so on and so forth. That's why we have 12 houses of the zodiac. Everybody's a master of one of these houses. So when we all come together, we have everything we need, because that creates an entire universe, because everybody's on the same page, but it is manifesting differently, and we can see the works that are produced from people thinking similarly but differently at the same time. That's what makes us all unique. We can have the same knowledge, which is my whole thing. My whole thing is, let us all have a common knowledge: astrology, numerology, tarot, Kabbalah, Hebrew. Let us all have a same knowledge and see how it manifests in different ways. We all have the same knowledge, but they are manifesting in different ways based on how our mind is wired, or how the brain is wired, rather. And then that accesses the mind, so the mind or the spirit can navigate, right? Hopefully that's making sense. Piece 93. How do we use the vertex and the part of fortune in our natal charts? The vortex represents your unconscious manifestations, and your part of fortune represents your abundance. So wherever your part of fortune is, that's why it's called the part of fortune. It's not the fortune, because fortune is Jupiter. That's why the wheel of fortune in the tarot is connected to Jupiter. So that's why it's called the part of fortune and not the actual fortune. So that's representing the piece, right? That just gives you a direction as to where you will find the piece of your fortune or the part of your fortune, but you must supplement it with energies of Jupiter. So your part of fortune just lets you know what house is abundance located for you. So for example, if your part of fortune is in your 12th house, that means you have an abundance of dream energy. That makes you a dreamer. That means your fortune will come from you decoding dreams, you decoding the astral plane, because it's in the 12th house. You decoding spirituality, you decoding the occult, right? That's 12th house. So your fortune will be 12th house. If it's the first house, for example, your part of fortune will be in you exalting your image, you creating the best image possible, right? Bodybuilders, people who work out, people who have, I guess you would call these. I don't want to put. I don't even know how to categorize that shit. But people know what I'm talking about. The models and all these types of people, who their image is the most important thing, right? That's first house. That's Aries. Aries represents the image. So wherever your part of fortune is, that's just giving you a glance as to what house you need to master, because that house will reap fortune for you. So wherever your fortune is, you just look towards what house it's in and say, okay, my part of fortune, not the full fortune, is part of it. It's connected with me mastering that particular house. Now, if we're talking about the vertex represents your unconscious manifestations. So we know we have the conscious manifestations of what we want to bring into the world, but what do you actually bring into the world? That's your vertex. You got what you want to bring into the world versus what you actually do bring to the world. So the vertex gives you an idea of what you actually do bring into the world, as we call manifestation. What are you actually manifesting versus what you want to manifest? What is actually being created in the background? Not in the forefront, but in the background. What is actually being created in the background? So you look towards your vertex to see what's going on in the background. So you can see what manifestations are happening on their own, or in the unconscious mind. So it can be represented as unconscious manifestation. What are you manifesting unconsciously? You know what you're manifesting consciously. You know about the home, the car, the relationship, anything that you can put your thoughts to. Advancing your spirituality. But what are you manifesting in the background? So the vertex just gives you insight into what is happening in the background of those manifestations. As we say, everything has a positive and negative charge. So every time you have a conscious thought of what you want to manifest, you're also creating the opposite as well in the unconscious. So whatever you put into your conscious mind, you're also putting into your unconscious mind. So whatever you think you're manifesting consciously, you're also manifesting the opposite unconsciously. So the vertex just gives us insight into where those unconscious manifestations show up in your life. So you have to look at your house, where the vertex manifests, to see what unconscious manifestations will take place. Every time you try to manifest, you will also manifest the vertex. As they say, yeah, every good will bring a bad, right? So that just gives you the balance, the Libra scale. So you know what to deal with, you know what you're going to be dealing with. Every time you try to manifest, you're going to know what you need to deal with, what you need to defeat in order to succeed in that manifestation. Whenever you want to manifest, it is something that you need to defeat. There's something that needs to be altered. So the vertex gives you insight into what needs to be altered in order for you to bring forth the manifestation that you are placing in the forefront of your mind. All right? There we go. There we go. What's up, son? There's a difference between wickedness and righteousness. Wickedness and righteousness exist in light, dark, demonic, angelic, draconic, and human. Exactly. And as long as we understand that difference, we good to go. That means you can work with anything. You can work, again, even the titans, even the demons, amongst those are those who are righteous. Right? So you can work with anything. So, what do you know anything about the Orishas? Yes. So we're speaking about the Orishas. The Orishas is more, we would say, those who are into natural magic. What I mean by natural magic is when we study the Orishas or even Ifa, if we study Ifa or Yoruba, right? Yoruba or Ifa, right? The Orishas are in nature, right? So for example, like Elegba would be in the form of a tree, right? So that's nature magic, right? So when it comes to the Orishas, you would be into the Orishas if you're into more natural magic, or as we call earth magic. So if you are a earth magician or earth mage, male or female, the Orishas is basically how you can communicate with nature. We just keep it simple, right? So through the Orishas, you're able to communicate with the natural forces of nature. So it's not like you're actually communicating with a rock or a piece of grass. It's like the spirit of air, water, earth, fire. You're able to communicate with the spirit or the essence. Yeah, the Holy Spirit. You're able to communicate with the Holy Spirit within the earth. Right? That's what the Orisha is, right? Because Ori means oracle. So just get that. So Ori is oracle. So Orisha. And we see Sha is energy, right? So the essence of energy or an element, the essence of energy or the essence of an element. So the Ori, oracle, the oracle within the essence in this case, the natural elements. The Ori within the natural elements. So the Orisha connects you to the elements. Like Yimiya is like the ocean, the sea, the river. She represents the water element. Oshun is like Venus, right? So on and so forth. Ogun, Obatala, so on and so forth, right? Orula, so on and so forth. Orula is like Thoth. So if you know about Thoth, then Orula is Thoth. So once you know Ogun, it's like the warrior god. You got Shango or Shango, so on and so forth, right? So those who prefer the Orisha, that means you're more into earth magic, right? And there's many forms of magic. So whatever you're into, go for it. Because all of it is us anyway, right? Find yourself in all of it. Find yourself in all of it. Which Orisha do you resonate with? Are you Ogun? Are you Oshun? Are you Yimiya? Are you Obatala? Are you Orula? Who are you? Because the ancestors know who you are. You take your ass to one of these countries that are heavy into Yoruba and Ifa, they know exactly who you are. They know exactly who you are. We just don't know who we are. As soon as you step foot on those lands, they know, okay, that's a daughter of Oshun. That's a son of Orula. They know who you are just by looking at your essence because they're into the spirit. So they know exactly who you are. As soon as you step foot, you can't fool these people. They know exactly who you are. And they will tell you who the fuck you are. And it's for you to accept it. And for you to come into the realization of what that means. What does it mean to be a daughter of Yimiya? What does it mean to be a daughter of Oya? What does it mean to be a son of Orula, a son of Shango, a son of Ogun, a son of Obatala? What does that mean? So you have to go through the spiritual process to contemplate that. So what does that mean? What does that make my position on this planet? What does that mean that I came here to do? So you have to piece these things together on your own. And that's why people have spirit guides. So if you know that you are a son of Obatala, that means you have a spirit guide of Obatala. That's how you can navigate through the spirit, the essence, the Ori of Obatala. Right? So whatever you into, find yourself in it. Because we're everywhere. You can find yourself in Chinese mythology. You can say, well, I'm not Chinese. You can find yourself anywhere. So don't limit yourself to just places that you may be familiar with. We are everywhere. Right? We are Asiatic. That means the whole planet is ours. Do not limit yourself to a landmass. Don't make the same mistake as everybody else. I would never put that on anybody. Do not limit yourself to a landmass. Do not limit yourself to a landmass. You are the entirety of the planet. But you must find yourself in the entirety. North America, South America, Africa, China, India, Russia. Find yourself everywhere. Japan. Find yourself in all of these spiritual pantheons, because you are there. If you look for it, you will find yourself in all of these pantheons. Because we are the entire planet. Fuck this landmass shit, because all that does is separate us. Fuck this separation shit. Fuck this separation shit. Don't do it. All we do is hold ourselves back. So yeah, fuck the bullshit. We are everywhere. Find yourself every fucking where. Then you got the universal truth. That makes you universal. That means you don't prefer this or that. You are all things. We are all. That's what we're here to do. We're here to merge everybody. We are one, or we are none. If you know about the book of the law, we are one, but we are also none. We are here for the collective. So that's why I try to make everybody feel comfortable, you know? So whether you're in China, Japan, or you're North America, South America, Canada, you know, that's why I come in 93, Thelema. It's universal. Everything. Right? So anybody who try to put preferences, anybody who tries to limit you to a landmass, they're not for you. I don't give a fuck if it's Israel, you know, Egypt. I say, yeah, I got an Egyptian name, but I don't limit the shit to Egypt. You may not be from Egypt. You may be from fucking Japan somewhere. Does that really make a difference? If you know your shit, I know my shit, we can exchange. Then you can find yourself in Egypt, I can find myself in Japan. That's how it's supposed to work. So I should be able to come to wherever the fuck you are, and you identify who I am in your pantheon. And I should be able to identify to you who you are in my pantheon. That's how it should work, right? Oh shit, that's Anubis. Oh shit, that's Isis. Oh shit, that's Asar. I should know that. I'm like, yo, I know who the fuck you are. Then like you like, oh, I know who the fuck you are. Right? That's how the fuck it should work. But we see people ain't doing that shit though. People want to be all fucking greedy and shit and keep the shit to themselves. They want to maintain the secrets. I'm like, fuck all that. That's why I reveal all the secrets. Fuck the bullshit. You know what I mean? Fuck anybody who's on local time. Get the fuck off of local time. Get on universal time. Get on world time. Enter into the world stage. Fuck this local shit. Don't limit yourself to your city, your state, your country. Fuck that. Fuck all of it. Fuck all of it. You know what I mean? That's over with. That's over with. Over with. We are universal people. Don't make anybody else, or don't let anybody else tell you different. And if you're real, you're gonna contact the real. You're gonna come into communication with the real. It don't matter where you are on this planet. That's how I know. I had to travel to realize that. I'm like, damn, it don't matter if I'm in New York, if I'm in the South, if I'm on the West Coast, if I'm in the Midwest. Somehow, spiritual people are around, and they know who I am, and I know who they are. Oh shit. It's as simple as that. As long as we are open to each other, fuck the appearance. Fuck the appearance. I don't give a fuck where you from. But you know, we try to divide and conquer, right? Divide and conquer. It's the oldest trick in the book, divide and conquer. Make me think I'm different than you. That we're not all the same people. Make us think, you see? And that's why we at war killing each other, because we think we're different. We divide ourselves from any boundaries. The hair texture, the skin tone, we just the stupidest shit, We gods and goddesses, what the fuck are we doing? We should be the ones merging together. Who else is gonna do it? That's the work of an angel. See the difference? It's the work of an angel. That's angelic work. So if you know you're on angel time, if you think like that, you ain't worried about the separation. You worried about how do we bring each other together. That's an angelic job. That's a job of an angel. That's how you know whether you're angelic or demonic. And I ain't saying there's nothing wrong with either way, because it's all free will. But we're talking about the true will. Is your true will telling you to be different, or is your true will showing you how to find yourself everywhere, not just in one place? I can't limit myself to America just because I was born here. I can't limit myself to Africa just because you can say our ancestors came from there. Our ancestors is everywhere. Every fucking where. It's up for us to find that out, though. We got to find that out. We got to know that to be true. Can't nobody tell you that. You got to know that. But you got to open your heart for that shit. That's why you see me working with the runes, right? So you don't just see me saying, with the Lima, you say I work with wounds, which that's German science. That comes, the wounds come from Germany. Why the fuck am I dealing with wounds? Right? That's from the Norse people, right? The fuck that got to do with me? If I'm thinking foolishly, that don't got shit to do with me, but it actually does. It's the whole point. That's why I offered the runic readings to show people like, yo, this is connected to you too. We can do tarot all day. We can do astrology all day. Let me show you how these runes would be right and exact. And that's why the professor came up and thanked me earlier. He was like, yo, thank you for the reading. And I used the runes. I'm like, yo, he was like, yo, that shit was spot on. That came from his mouth. He was like, yo, this shit is spot on. And that was the runes. I didn't have to pull out a tarot deck. I didn't have to pull up an astrology chart. I just pulled some runes and like, yo, that shit is just talking directly about what I'm going through right now. So I know this shit to be true because when I perform this on people, they tell me, they give me the results. They're not gonna lie to me. What the fuck you gotta lie to me for? They ain't gonna tell me it's spot on and it's not. But I had to advance myself. I'm like, yo, let me actually use these runes. Let me not limit myself to this or that. Let me use all things. It's the whole point. So that's why I try to offer new things. So I'm not just doing the same natal charts and all that. That's on my Uranian mysteries, Neptunian mysteries, Plutonian mysteries. Let me take you to the deeper ciphers that most people only, well, they don't even see at all because it's hidden. All right? Let us continue. Where I'm at right now, I'm on my way back to the desert. I'll be there in about 24 hours. Be there about 24 hours. It's been crazy though. It's been crazy. A lot of delays, layovers, and you know how this shit go. You know how this shit go. So I've taken it all in stride. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot to discuss. I'm just not going to get into it right now. Amongst humans, right? Only amongst the angels and the demons, right? So this ain't the atmosphere for me to go into all that stuff. But I will. I'll go into all of it. Where do you think the soul is? There's been a lot of uptick talking about the soul aspects. Well, according to the Kemetic science, the soul is broken into many parts. So it's not just one thing, it's many things. Right, the Ka, the Ba, so on and so forth, right? So the soul is many things. So it's not just one thing, it's many things. And that's the original one to say, it's at least 5 parts to the soul. So that's just give you a little insight. So the soul is not one thing, it's 5 parts operating as one unit. So you can't say, well, it's over here, it's over there, it's everything. You can say it's the heart, it's the brain, it's everything. Well, I'm not going to say the heart and the brain because that's physical. You can say the chakras. The soul is the chakras, all 7 chakras, all 14 chakras. I tap into a lot of dragon aspects. I shapeshift. There you go then. There you go. Shout out to the shapeshifters. There you go. Shout out to the dragons. Norse people, Native American exchange culture thousands of years before any Christian doctrine touched America. So I agree wholeheartedly. Exactly. 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 What's up, DH? Peace and power. Peace and power. What's up? What's up? Yeah, I work at an airport. It's not what people think it is. Salute to you, Dank Wizard. Salute to you. Salute to you. We already know. We already know. These are portals and dimensions that nobody know nothing about. Remember, the builders of this country were not regular people. I've been in graveyards recently. I've been navigating these graveyards. And you know what I see in those graveyards? Masons and Eastern stars. When I look at the graves and I see the biggest graves, the biggest tombstones of people that's really remembered, Masons. I see that compass and that square with that G. I'm like, damn, these are the highest honored people. Because everybody else, when you look at their tombstone, you don't even know who these people are. Like majority of the tombstones, you don't even know who these people were. Well, if a person was a Shriner, if a person was a Master Mason, I said that crazy, a Master Mason, or an Eastern Star, they're exalted to the highest peaks, the highest chambers, right? So when we realize that that knowledge, to be a Shriner, to be a Master Mason, to be an Eastern Star, that's what this country, I'm not going to speak about any other country, but that's at least what this country honors. Because these are the people that's remembered, right? I appreciate the $20 donation. Bueno, Denton, salute to you. Salute to you. Salute to you. Thank you so much for that. So that was my point. I didn't know that shit. But I'm like, oh, okay. I come to the South and they on Mason time. They on Mason time. So what are the secrets of the Masons? I probably need to make videos about that, right? Now that I see, I'm like, oh, this is what they honor. This is what they respect. These are the master builders of the city, or the cities, not just one city. Because to be a Mason, you can say is a master builder. So these are the people that are structuring the cities. These are the people that are laying down the foundation of these cities. And these are the people that's honored. Okay. And there's a lot of, bullshit with the doctrines. So you got to decode it so it's not obvious. That's the whole thing. It's not obvious. Like the truth is within their doctrine, but it's veiled. It's not obvious. It's not bold and straight to the point. You got to go through all this extra shit. That's why they don't reveal the secrets. That's one thing about Masons. They're not going to tell you any goddamn thing. They only speak amongst each other. They're not going to be open. Like, I'm not going to have a conversation with a Mason and they just reveal the secrets. It's just not going to happen. So that's the main difference between them and everybody else, right? They keep those secrets secret. Unless you come amongst them and accept their regulations, their rules and their regulations. So you have to accept their rules and regulations to even get the mysteries, to get the secrets. You basically have to take an oath. So you got to take an oath before you even are revealed those mysteries and those secrets. What does it mean when your vertex and part of fortune are in the same house? That means your vertex and your fortune, it depends on the zodiac sign. So like I can't really just tell you that. It depends on the zodiac sign. Because it may be your fourth house. But it depends on what zodiac sign rules over your fourth house. That would determine exactly how that would manifest. So you will have to look at the house cusp. So again, like we can say fourth house, fifth house, sixth house, we can say all that, but the zodiac sign on the cusp of that particular house will determine how that energy materializes. So if it's Aries, for example, then that represents your image. That represents your self-image. So that means your vertex and your fortune is connected to your self-image, to exalt your image, to make your image hit the apex, to hit the apex of your image. But that's Aries, so you have to look at what zodiac sign is on the house cusp to realize, okay, this is how this energy is going to manifest, right? So depending on what zodiac sign, that would determine. So it's not just about the house, it's also about the zodiac sign that rules over the house. Then you have to also look at the planet. So if it's Aries, Aries is ruled by Mars, so you also have to take a look at Mars. So where is Mars? So Aries may be the fourth house cusp, but Mars is in the seventh house. So that means the fourth and the seventh house must be considered together. The seventh house is the house of contracts. Then the fourth house is the home, or the subconscious mind, subconscious contracts, spirit contracts. Right? Just like that. So you have to piece all these things together like a puzzle so that you can see the full story. You gotta, literally, it's like putting together a puzzle. Piece by piece. Little by little, and be patient with yourself. There's no need to rush, just be patient. It's a grand story that's being revealed. It's your story that's being revealed. So take as much patience as you like. This is your story after all. This is your destiny. This is your fate. This is your fortune. Take your time with it. There's really no need to rush. Let the world rush. The world this needs to be busy. That don't mean you need to be busy. Even if you're working, even if you at the job, if you got everything up here, you can study 24/7 if you already, that's the whole purpose of memorization. If you memorize it, that means you can go through your chart at any time. At the job, with your girl, with your man. It doesn't matter what you're doing physically. If you have it up here, then you can go through your degrees whenever you need to. Whenever you want to contemplate it, you can go. So you don't need to, again, you don't need to focus on something outside of yourself. You can stay focused on what you need to do, but you're still contemplating internally. So you don't have to stop what you're doing externally to contemplate internally. So that's why you memorize it. You may not be able to pull out your notes at the job. You may need to, just be hand in hand. You need to be active. But that doesn't mean you can't contemplate, that you can't meditate, that you can't go into your inner chambers because you already got it locked in. So once you got it locked in, what you actually are doing on the outside really doesn't matter because you're always active internally. Those gears are always spinning. Yeah. So that's the whole point of memorization. Keep those gears spinning regardless of what you have to do on the outside. You may have kids, again, job, 12 hours, 10 hours, 8 hours. None of that matters if it's internally committed. So you never cannot be studying because it's internal. And what better thing to memorize than your own natal chart, which you have to carry with you the entirety of your life. Might as well make that your blueprint. You got to carry these energies with you your whole life for you to master them, or they master you. Either master your zodiac or your zodiac will master you. So why not know all these things off the top of the dome so that you know how to master and not be mastered, right? Which is the 13th degree. The letter M represents master, which is the 13th letter. Knowledge and understanding. The master has knowledge and understanding of what their culture. 3 plus 1 or 1 plus 3 gives you 4. Culture. A master has knowledge and understanding. Understanding is the internal and the external. That means you went inside and you also know what to do outside. You have knowledge of the internal and external chambers of your culture. Your culture is whatever you are the master of. That means you know it inside and out. That's what makes you a master. You know it inside, internal, committed to memory, and you know how to perform it, or to manifest that memory. So now you're not producing thoughts, you're producing memories. You're coming from memory. Muscle memory, as they call it, right? When you're coming from memory, that's different than coming from a thought. Thoughts, you can say, is Mercury, but memory is Neptune, which is the outer planet. Now you're coming from the outer planets, the outer regions of reality, right? There you go. The grave where I live, the trees look like people, threw me off a little bit because the trees are people. That's a fairy kingdom. Fairies live in trees. So if it's looking like people in those trees, that's the fairies communicating to you. That's fairy communication, right? So tap into fairyland. You may be a fairy. You may be an elf, right? Tap into it, why not? Give offering to the trees. Give offering to the trees. Offerings to nature, if that's what you're into, right? If you're into nature, give nature offerings so that nature acknowledges you the same way you acknowledge it, right? How do you quickly redirect your frequency? Was arguing with my son, but I gotta get some work in spirit world. So to quickly redirect your frequency, some people use mantras, some people use hekkas, some people use words of affirmation, some people use Hebrew letters, some people use, you know, it really depends on what you find effective. So I can't necessarily tell you what's going to be the most effective for you because it will be based on your spirit. Like I can give you a heka, which is an Egyptian word of power, or a Kemetic word of power. I can give you a mantra, which is a Vedic word of power. I can say all that. But that doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's going to work in the way that you are, basically what you're trying to shift your frequency to. So it depends on what you're trying to shift it to. That will determine, well, what pantheon should you go under. Should you work with a deity? Should you work with a mantra? Should you work with a yantra, which is visualizing shapes? Maybe you need to visualize a shape. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's not about sound. Maybe it's about shapes that you visualize, right? Maybe it's a certain position that you need to do with your hands. A mutra. Maybe you need to use a mutra. So maybe you use a mantra, a mutra, or a yantra, right? So one of those are going to work. So you just need to, what works the best for you? Does visualization work the best for you? does sound work the best for you, or does mudras work the best for you? So it's either a mantra, a yantra, or a mutra, or a combination of all, whatever works. So I say mutra, yantra, mantra, right? Triple digits, right? With a triple goddess. So if it's sound, yeah, you're the baby, right? Sound. Now, if it's sound, you just have to ask yourself, well, what planetary energy am I tapping myself into? So that's what I mean when you're talking about shifting your frequency, you shifting it towards what? Are you trying to be within the orbit of the sun? Are you trying to be within the orbit of the moon, the orbit of Jupiter, Mars, Uranus, Pluto, so on and so forth? So it's like, what direction are you trying to go into? Because depending on where you're trying to go, that would determine what energy you want to manifest. Jupiter, well, Jupiter is Kaf, the Hebrew letter Kaf, K-A-P-H. So K, Kaf, 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 which is a palm, right? So tap into Jupiter, you would tap into Kaf, which is a Hebrew letter. So yeah, Jupiter is high magic. So Venus would be low magic, then Jupiter would be high magic. Tell me more about the Eastern Star. Well, the Eastern Stars are the women Masons. So women don't call themselves Masons, they call themselves Eastern Stars, which is, you could say, that's what the women do, right? So when it comes to the Eastern, it's a lot of strange things with that. So I'm not just going to, say be a Mason, because they do a lot of strange things. But the doctrine itself, it taps you into the feminine mysteries. The Eastern Stars are all about mastering the feminine mysteries that most people will have no idea that is occurring. Tapping into the mysteries of Kali, tapping into the mysteries of the dark feminine, you could say. The dark feminine mystery. That's just one way to do it, through the Eastern Stars. But you can do it through many ways. Tantra, you know what I mean? The mysteries of the Amazons. You can do it through any of these avenues. That's just one way. If you're into that type of organization, right? So that's what an Eastern Star is. And you could say, yeah, there's an actual Eastern Star, just like there's an actual Northern Star, Southern Star, Western Star. But that taps you into astronomy, right? So if you are an astronomer, all the better, because you know how to locate the stars and how to utilize star magic, which many people don't even talk about star magic, but that's also a form of alchemy. All right. No problem. No problem. I appreciate y'all. How do solar flares impact beings, in your opinion? I don't hear it discussed much in the mainstream, as they change very often and have impacts on this environment, because they're not going to tell us that, because it affects you more than them. That's the whole thing. It affects us, those who are tapped into spirit, because sun is a soul, and soul represents your spirit. So solar rays, solar impacts, solar flares, all that affects our consciousness. Because remember, what's going on in here is manifested up there. What's going on up there is as above, so below. We already know that, right? As above, so below. So if the sun is going through the sunspots, solar flares and all that, well, how does the sun? You have to go to your own natal chart. Go to the transits. Go to your progress chart. So if you want to know how the sun affects you personally, you have to go to your sun sign. So that's what. So whenever there is a solar flare, you're going to see an increase in energy or a decrease in energy in that particular house or that particular phase. So you got to take it directly to your natal chart, directly to the progress chart, directly to the transits, if you want to know exactly what's happening. So if it's a solar flare in the fifth house, so basically if the sun is in the fifth house when a solar flare occurs, then you know it's going to be an increase of pleasure with fun, romance, or a decrease, depending on the nature of the solar flare. So you just have to locate where the sun is to see exactly what effect or what house or what energy it will affect. So yeah, just simple as that. We don't have to make it too complex. So wherever the sun is located, those are the areas of life that will be affected, or the area of life. And areas, if you're looking at all 3 degrees, the natal, the progress, and the transits. So that's going to give you all the insights you need as to what areas are going to be affected, what technology, if any technology, what people placing in things. You're going to go directly to that house and see what's going on. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I'll answer this last question. I'm going to charge up my phone a little bit. How will we by Neptune. Neptune is an unconscious mind. Neptune is a collective unconscious. Neptune is where shadow work occurs. So Neptune is the 12th house of karma, the house of spirituality. So Neptune spiritualizes us. Neptune takes us to the hangman of the tarot. So if you want to understand Neptune, just look at the hangman. The hangman is about inversion or the law of reversal. So Neptune affects us through the law of reversal. The law of reversal is why we invert pentagrams, why we invert crosses, so on and so forth. So the same way a pentagram can become, you know, I'll show you. Same way a pentagram, you invert that bitch, right? Produces a hole, or you invert that bitch. It shows us the powers of inversion. Inversion. What happens when you invert? See, now we're looking at Satan versus we're looking at a pentagram, which is star. This is star power, earth power. Star power, earth power. So just by inverting a symbol, just by inverting a symbol, you completely change the frequency. Same thing with the Ankh. See the Ankh? But when I invert this bitch, because the Ankh represents life. The Ankh represents life. So if I, so what else am I wearing? I'm wearing all type of stuff. I'm wearing all type of stuff here. I'm wearing all type of stuff. Right. I'm wearing all type of stuff. Well, I'm wearing all type of stuff here. You know what I mean? I stay charged up. Sorry about that. Stay charged up. I'm wearing all type of stuff. I'm wearing all type of stuff. You know what I mean? I try to move with the times. You know what I mean? So I try to switch up the patterns every day. And, you know, same thing you do with the clothing. And it all means, I would say it all depends. Again, if it's regular, the Ankh just represents life. When it's inverted, it's death. Pentagram just represents life. Until you invert it, now it represents death. So, you know, I'm all about the death magic. You know what I mean? The mysteries of death, rather, which is Neptune. The Neptunian mysteries is death. Death and rebirth. Because Pluto takes you to rebirth, the resurrection of the Christ, right? But before the Christ is resurrected, he has to descend, well, she has to descend into the underworld, the infernal plane. That descent into the underworld is Neptune. Then that resurrection from the underworld is Pluto, right? So that descension into the underworld, into the land of the dead, to communicate with the dead. So that's why I'm always speaking about the dead. I try to stay in tune with the dead. That's why I spoke about the graveyard. Doing graveyard magic. I was doing graveyard magic. So I try to stay close to the dead as I possibly can, as we call the ancestors, the land ancestors. I try to stay as close to the ancestors as I possibly can. And of course, you know, the gold. So try to keep the gold on point. So try to be subtle, you know. I ain't really wearing it for nobody else, so that's why you see my jacket is on. You wouldn't even know I had anything on. All you see until I open this shit. So I really just wear this shit for me. Just stay with the ancestors without it, you know. But nobody else know nothing. It's gonna start getting real demonic though. I start wearing all type of shit that nobody know nothing about. Right? So anyway, just a little something. I guess I just like silver. I guess just a little silver. So these are just silver. Got a little silver. Got a little gold. You know, just doing a little something. You know, nothing too crazy. So it's more so about the energy it produces than me showing it to other people. So the energy the gold produces, the energy that the silver produces is silver with, and that's wood. It's a wood within the silver. So I just like the energy it produces. Makes me more sensitive. Do I work with skull jewelry? I don't have no problem with it. I don't have no problem with it. I guess it's just a little out there. Like motherfuckers see a skull, but I don't have a problem with it. Especially an inverted skull. Inverted, I have no problem with skulls. No problem whatsoever. I think it is a little bit too obvious for me. Well, what the fuck is that skull? But you see, when I wear this shit, it's a little less obvious. You don't know what the fuck this shit means. You don't know what the fuck this shit means. But when I put that skull, so I don't know, that may be a little bit too obvious. For a person like me, I already look like it's a problem anyway. But people be afraid of me. It is what it is, though. Every fucking city I go to is some strange. I'll talk about that later, though. I'll talk about that later. I'll talk about that later. Yeah, exactly. The skulls are becoming more mainstream. Exactly. Exactly. That's my whole thing. That's my whole thing. Exactly. Uranus rules over technology. So Uranus is all about technology. It's all about cyberspace. But got about 2% here, so I'm gonna go ahead and check out. So I'll see y'all in about, I don't know, next 24 hours. Salute. We out this bitch. 93, 93, 93.